Hello, Rick.
It's great to meet you.
Rick McCallum, a famous producer. You were well known for produce Star Wars. I mean, episode 1, 2, 3. You are well known for the TV show Indiana Jones, the young Indiana Jones.
When I first met George, he, during this first meeting and subsequently, he had a very clear vision of where he wanted technology to go to. He's not a technical person. He could care less about it. But he does care about editing. He wanted to be able to create as many effects as he possibly could in Indy. So those were the first very digital matte paintings ever used. And the young Indy was kind of a blueprint for how we were going to shoot economically Star Wars. All of the Star Wars films were produced, financed, marketing, prints, everything through Lucasfilm. There was no studio involved except for the distribution. But Lucasfilm was only George, his assistant, myself, my assistant, production controller, post-production guy, and Ben Burt and Matt Wood. That was Lucasfilm. And of course, we depended desperately on ILM to be able to do the effects. And ILM, George had opened up to all the studios and every filmmaker so that people would come in, push the technology so that when it was time for us to make Star Wars, evolutionarily, everybody would have moved up and the effects would get greater, the software would get better, the computer hardware would get better.
But 20 years after, that's a revolution. What do you think about the digital world we're living in, mostly in cinema?
There are a lot of people who still shoot on film. They love that process. But for us, we always knew that Star Wars would have 2,000 to 2,500 visual effects shots. And if the movie is an hour and 30 minutes, that's a separate shot every 3 seconds. And every 3 seconds, there's a new character. In episode 1, we had 66 new digital creatures. So for us to shoot in film and then spend $1 million scanning it back into a computer was ludicrous. It just didn't make any sense. Plus, what our big thing was when we did the special editions, we insisted that the studio the film would only be released in digital sound theaters. The trouble is we couldn't get the cameras and the lens together fast enough for episode 1. Sony did give us a camera that we shot for 2 days, but the trouble was it was 30 frames a second. And once you converted it, you lost a little bit of contrast, but the shots were so quick, we cut them into the picture, no one saw that. So that was another reason for us, because the film industry traditionally, the studios are very cheap. They don't put anything back into the industry itself. Most of all the great changes have been done by individuals or rebel companies. And the same thing for theater owners. They don't have any respect for their audience. Half the speakers don't work. No, this looks like a very nice theater. But half the speakers don't work. There's no subwoofer. So all the time that you spent mixing the film, it's not there.
Is that because it was a tremendous work that you think that George Lucas retired from filmmaking?
No, I think, if you put everything in perspective, he was 69 years old when he finished in 2012. We had just finished Red Tails, which was the last film.
I can't afford the kind of losses my bombers have been suffering. Can you help save lives?
If you get us new planes, we can help your boys. Nothing's difficult.
Everything's a challenge.
Through adversity to the stars.
From the last plane to the last bullet to the last minute to the last man, we fight.
We fight.
We fight.
We fight.
We fight.
We fight.
The film isn't perfect by anything. There's some great people in it. There's some of the best black actors in America working today came out of that movie. But, you know, it's hard. You know, you make a film, you love it, it doesn't work, or people don't go see it, and then, you know.
You retired from Lucasfilm 2012, I think.
Correct, yes, that's when the company was sold.
Yes. It must have been quite a shock for you because you seem so attached to George Lucas and to his vision and to his work.
Yeah, but the thing was I would have only stayed if he was going to continue to direct. Yeah. I had no, and that was not going to happen. We had spent 5 years trying to create. We'd come up with 50 episodes for a Star Wars TV series called The Underworld, which was dark, sexy, amazing, nothing to do with the films whatsoever. But the problem was each episode, our episode, was bigger than any of the films. And we just could never get the budget down to a place where you could make a TV show that could go on for 5 years. So that was a blow to us.
Why didn't
it was just too expensive. It was like $40 million an episode. You know, each one had more effects than the film did. He wasn't going to make a Star Wars, which would help support and keep the studio alive. Plus, he had just married this incredible, smart, a beautiful woman. And, you know, I think he wanted to sleep in late. I don't think he wanted to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning anymore.
Thank you so much.
Not at all. I'm sorry. I feel...
No, you look perfect. Don't worry. Thank you, Rick.
Enfance perturbée, adolescence chahutée, cette semaine dans les salles, les jeunes à l'affiche ne passent pas leur temps à jouer à la play.
Ici Joie, en direct live de l'esprit de Riley. Voici Colère.
Je vais me les faire. Pour la dernière fois, j'exige notre protège-dents.
Peur. Non, recrache, c'est pas nous. Dégoût. Heureusement qu'on t'a dans l'équipe.
Je vois vraiment pas ce qui pourrait arriver.
Salut. Je suis anxiété. Je les mets où, mes affaires?
Une nouvelle émotion.
Riley est de retour avec ses compagnons, joie, tristesse, colère, peur et dégoût. Mais arrive aussi angoisse, envie, ennui et embarras. Bref, Riley entre dans l'adolescence, un casse-tête suivi par les studios Pixar.
I'm thinking of starting a writing club.
You don't belong nowhere else, so they belong together. But you're the man in charge.
I'm John. We're the man.
Chicago, 1965. La jeune Cathy flash sur Benny dans un bar de la ville. Une chronique qui retrace le quotidien des Vandales, un club de motards rival des Hells Angels.
It was here.
Running or walking?
It was running.
Everyone tells me the person I believed in the most.
You ever run away from me again?
Was really a monster. Remember the Marsh King?
Help! Please, before he gets back!
Helena!
No, Father! Somebody!
Victime d'un père abusif qui l'a séquestré pendant 12 ans, Daisy Ridley va devoir affronter son passé pour protéger sa famille. Un thriller trépidant au décor naturel à couper le souffle.
To the Aboriginal Protector, Mr. Crank. I am writing regarding the progress of the new boy you sent us.
Présentée à Cannes en 2023 dans la section Un certain regard, cette fable australienne suit le destin d'un jeune aborigène catapulté en pleine nuit dans un monastère catholique au milieu du désert. Pour l'accueillir, une étrange religieuse, la fascinante Cate Blanchett.